Welcome to episode 50 of Posture Labs and Alignment Fundamentals. My name is Emma. Thank you so much for joining me. In this series, we have covered a yoga pose starting at very basic poses from the very start of this year, 2023. Each week we've covered a new pose, and now we are nearing the end of the series. Today's one is fun. It's an arm balance called Astavakrasana, or 8-angle pose. You can find a lot of my vinyasa classes with this arm balance and other options. And I do have a arm balance workshop for purchase. I'll link that below. It's very reasonably priced. I go over 7 different arm balances, inversions, tips, tricks, and drills that you can do to improve your practice. In this video, you might like 2 blocks. Some people find them helpful. You don't need them. I do not recommend doing this pose without being warmed up, so I'd recommend doing a pretty complete warm-up. Spine, shoulders, some sun salutations. I intentionally put this pose after compass pose, after birds of paradise, because they really open up your hips. And to get into those poses, you kind of have to do a pretty lengthy practice just to warm up your body. So I would recommend the same thing here. Please just don't try to do this. At least warm up your wrists and your spine at minimum. Now, since my purpose here is just to explain the pose to you, I'm not going to warm you up. I'm just going to get right into it. So there are a few ways to get into this pose, but I think the easiest way to explain is almost from compass pose. You don't have to do compass pose to do this pose, but I'll show you what I mean. Of course, I'll face different directions as I go through this. So last week we went over compass pose. Started by cradling the leg, putting the leg on like a backpack, and then we did extend this top leg. That's not even necessary here. So I just want you to get one leg up and over your shoulder, or at least over your arm. Now, so I have my right leg up and over my right arm. I'm going to plant my hands on the mat firmly with my fingers pointing in the direction of my left leg. Now I'm going to take my left leg up and cross it over my right. I like to flex my feet here so they kind of hook together. Now my hands are planted firmly. I'm going to squeeze my legs kind of onto my right shoulder as I lean my weight forward, and kick my legs out to the right. Now my legs are wrapped around my right arm, so they're kind of squeezing. My face is pretty close to the mat. I'm hugging my left elbow in to help support my body, and of course using my core. I'm looking towards my feet. To release, you can just drop down, or I'll show you this in a moment. Let's try it on the other side. So I will face a different direction, and then I'll show you an option with the blocks. So I'm going to take my left leg up and over, put my leg on kind of like a backpack, nice and high. Hands on the mat, cross, right ankle over left, feet flex. Grip the mat with the finger pads. Start to lean my weight forward. It's going to have to lean my weight. I don't want my left arm or my left leg to slide too much down my arm as I lean forward. So I'm kind of tipping my weight forward, maybe a little bit to the right, and then I kick my feet out to the left. I do have to counterbalance here. Since my legs are going to the left, I need to make sure I'm putting some weight in my right arm. I'm looking towards my feet and release. Now, you can obviously just flop down, that's totally fine, but eventually you might be interested in unthreading your legs and jumping back into a chaturanga. If that's what you're working on, here's where the blocks may come in handy. Just because you're pretty close to the mat, so it can be kind of hard to unthread your arms. Now, I'm going to take this compass pose, get myself set up. I'm going to walk my blocks towards me. Now I'm going to grab the blocks, push down into my hands, and then kick my feet out to the left. So now I have a little bit more space so that I can lift my chest up a bit, bring my feet towards me, swing this right leg forward, hover it off the mat, kick it back. As I kick back, I have to lean my weight forward and extend my left leg. So now I'm in like a flying splits, and from there I could step or jump my feet back. Now, the challenging part, besides it being challenging on your upper body, the challenging part is when you don't have the blocks, you don't have a lot of space to clear your leg. So that's the hard part. That's why the blocks can be helpful, but you can, of course, do this without the blocks as well. So what that would look like on the right side, hands down, left ankle. Now, I've had some people say the right ankle on top, but I think this is just so much more comfortable and you're really locked into this shape. Your left leg's not gonna flop down when you're in the pose if it's on top. If the right ankle's on top, you have to work a lot more to avoid that left leg falling down. Hands down, lean weight forward, kick legs out to the right. Squeeze legs onto arm. Now I have to pick my chest up a bit, pull my feet back, unthread my left leg, lean my weight forward, split my legs, and then jump back into chaturanga. So it just feels a little bit more crammed, but you have to work with your body here. You're balancing on your hands, and when your body's moving, if your legs are going out from the right and pulling towards you, if you don't adjust your body, you're gonna fall over because now you're compensating. As your feet go to the right, you need to put some extra weight to the left. So then you pull your weight back towards you, you have to release some of that weight from your left hand. So it's all just kind of getting familiar with your body, and that's hard because we're always standing on our feet. But if you think about it here, if you're standing, I reach to the right. Now I have to kind of push down more with my right foot so I don't just topple over to my left. Same idea here, if I'm reaching forward, I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse here, but if I'm reaching forward and falling forward, I have to shift some weight back to my heels so that I don't topple forward. Same exact idea, but you're balancing on your hands instead of your feet. There's no other, not that there's no other way to use props. I'm not familiar with any other way to use props in this pose besides the blocks underneath your hands. I really would recommend the blocks either on a medium height or preferably a low height so you can put your palms flat. I would not recommend just, grabbing them. It's going to be too hard to enter the pose too with the blocks at the tall height or even maybe on the medium height. And I would really prefer like flat palms instead of gripping the sides of the block so much. So I would totally recommend the blocks on the lowest setting. You want those wide so you have that space in between for your leg to thread through. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Please be patient with yourself. These poses, they can be learned quickly, but they're not intended to be learned in a 10-minute tutorial or even in 1 week or 1 month. They take a lot of practice and repetition, so please be patient and be gentle with yourself. If you have any tips, tricks, or comments about this pose, please let me know in the comments. I would love to learn. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you back next week for episode 51.